just gone 8 o'clock on this Monday, the 1st of December 2025. You're watching the main news on ZBC live from Pocket Hill in Harare. I am Mona Lisa Dube.
And my name is Malvin Matala. Piswe Jomonika is on sign language. We'll also be crossing over to our Montreux studios later on in the bulletin, and other Evans will be joining us.
Our top stories this evening. President Emmerson Mnangagwa commissions newly promoted Zimbabwe Defense Forces Commander General Emmanuel Matatu.
In other news, the government assures the nation of enough antiretroviral therapy drugs.
And in arts, Zimbabwean designer Jasper Mandizera lifts the national flag high at fashion show in China.
Be sure not to miss our sports news because the Warriors are regrouping for the AFCON finals, which are set for Morocco later on this month.
The Commander-in-Chief of the Zimbabwe Defense Forces, President Emmerson Mnangagwa, has praised the Defense Forces for safeguarding the country's freedom since the birth of the Republic in 1980. He said this as he commissioned the newly promoted Zimbabwe Defense Forces Commander General Emmanuel Matatu at State House earlier today. Our chief correspondent, Ruben Barwe, has more.
In 1960, a baby boy was born in Zombe in the Midland Province. He had his initial schooling there, then they proceeded to Bulawayo, where his father was working. Then for secondary education, Emmanuel Matatu went to Tegwani. From there, he joined the liberation struggle in 1976, and he joined the Zimbabwe People's Revolutionary Army, ZIPRA. He proceeded to Zambia, where he trained. One very interesting thing is that he trained with the Zambian army and became an officer in 1978. General Matatu back home rose through the ranks in the Zimbabwe National Army to become a lieutenant general. And from being a lieutenant general, he was elevated today by the President of the Republic to become General of the Zimbabwe Defense Forces. The President read the speech about this man, General Emmanuel Matatu.
I look forward to working with you as you guide the Defense Forces to reach more milestones. You must do your part to protect the shared identity that the past and the present generations have built. The duty before you is to accelerate the transformation of the Zimbabwe Defense Forces into a world-class force that is a source of security, source of peace and stability, not only for our country, but for the SADC region and the African continent and beyond. In doing so, I exhort you to uphold uttermost discipline, unity, professionalism, and loyalty within the Defense Forces. As your President and Commander-in-Chief, I assure you that my administration will support you.
General Matatu, in response, spoke about his role as a military man, saying, this is an honor given to him by the Commander-in-Chief of the Zimbabwe Defense Forces.
I am elated and honored to follow in the footsteps of great commanders who have led and shaped our esteemed Zimbabwe Defense Forces to what it is today. With it, General VMG Runavashi, General CGDN Chiwenga, and my immediate predecessor, General PV Sibanda. I'm alive, Your Excellency, to the expectations and responsibilities that go with this elevation. I'm taking over the reins of the Zimbabwe Defense Forces, a force with a rich legacy underpinned by the ethos of patriotism, loyalty, diligence, accountability, and integrity. And these enduring values that we inherit from our time during the liberation struggle remain a torch whose light shall guide us into the future. As you and the political leadership strives for a nation to attain urban middle income economy by 2030, we as the ZDF shall conform and support this vision to its fruition. You have talked, Your Excellency, about the changes in warfare and the need for us to embrace technology. I'm aware, Your Excellency, that we have to accelerate our efforts in this direction, and we have to catch up with what is going on around us. In that respect, Your Excellency, I pledge to uphold the vision of my predecessors, that of modernizing and pursuing excellency and professionalism within the Zimbabwe Defense Forces.
Then they retreated for a tea with the commander-in-chief. Then he came and spoke about his role in the struggle and how he was surprised to have been promoted so rapidly that only last March he was a major general and he became a lieutenant general. And now he is a general of the Zimbabwe Defense Forces.
There is a lot that we need to do to acquire the hardware and also to train to get our soldiers to use and to be able to use them offensively and also to defend against these gadgets that the enemy might have, whoever wants to attack Zimbabwe might have. So there is quite a lot that we need to do to catch up in that area.
Were you a bit surprised that only in March you were promoted to lieutenant general, and in November you were a full general?
Quite frankly, yes. It was quite a surprise. I didn't expect it, but it is an honor from the Commander-in-Chief. I'll embrace it and I'll give it my best shot.
Ruben Barwell, SABC News, State of Harare.
Meanwhile, the newly appointed commander of the Zimbabwe National Army, Lieutenant General Asha Walter Tafumane, has been officially conferred with his insignia of rank, pledging his unwavering commitment to safeguarding Zimbabwe's sovereignty, peace, as well as territorial integrity.
The insignia was presented by Commander Defense Forces General Emmanuel Matatu, who implored the military leadership to continue upholding the values of patriotism.
Where you served at very senior levels, now you're back, and obviously you picked up quite a lot that is useful and will help you and benefit us as the ZDF as the Army moves forward. Your brief stint as Chief of Staff Administration Staff at Army Headquarters, I believe, set the scene for your return and prepared you well for the new role that you have taken on. And I urge you to continue to inspire and motivate the troops and uphold the highest standards of discipline, professionalism, and service to the nation.
In his acceptance speech, Lieutenant General Tafumane said he is duty-bound to serve.
To this end, I pledge, Commander Sir, to uphold the solid foundation you have laid as my predecessor for the Zimbabwe National Army, making it a formidable, hard-hitting force in defense of our loved motherland, Zimbabwe. As I conduct my duties in this new rank and appointment, I promise to pursue my duties with the mandate as guided by the Constitution of Zimbabwe and the Defense Act.
Lieutenant General Tafumane was appointed by the Commander-in-Chief of the Zimbabwe Defense Forces, His Excellency President Emmerson Mnangagwa, in line with the Constitution of Zimbabwe and the Defense Act, Chapter 11.02. Peter Chivima, ZBC News, Harare.
The World Intellectual Property Organization has pledged to assist Zimbabwe to create a new intellectual property strategy.
The Director General of the World Intellectual Property Organization, WIPO, Mr. Darren Tang, who is in Zimbabwe, met with President Emmerson Mnangagwa at State House this Monday morning. We managed to speak to him after the closed-door meeting, and among other issues, he said given that Zimbabwe is beginning to harness its innovation, entrepreneurial and creative potential, intellectual property will become very important in the country's development. He said given the new ideas, it will be key that these ideas are protected by intellectual property.
First of all, it's my honor to be the first Director General to visit Zimbabwe, and I'm very excited about the vision of this government, of the President, and he shared a phrase, Neika inovakwa neye nevaku, a country is built on its people. And I think the people of Zimbabwe are beginning to harness their innovation, entrepreneurial and creative potential. And I think intellectual property will become very important to this country's development, because when we start to innovate, when we start to create, when we start to become entrepreneurs, we are looking for new ideas. But these new ideas need to be protected by intellectual property, and then after that, they need to be commercialized.
Mr. Tang said as he meets with officials drawn from a number of sectors, focus will, among other issues, be on supporting the country's innovation hubs to ensure the research and entrepreneurial energies are commercialized. He also brought attention to the organization's intention to assist Zimbabwe with a new intellectual property strategy.
So with the President and with the Minister of Justice, Minister Ziambi, as well as many other ministers are meeting, we're going to focus our efforts on 4 or 5 major areas. First, how to support the innovation hubs of Zimbabwe so that research and the entrepreneurial energies are commercialized. Secondly, how to support your creators. We're talking about people like Jay Praiza. Of course, Zimbabwe has the legendary Olivia Mkuduzi, who started the combined Zimbabwean rhythms with jazz. We're looking at even people like Comic Elder, who's become a very famous YouTube personality. How to make sure that as they create, their creations are protected and enhanced by copyright.
Mr. Tang will be in the country for the next 3 days, and during these 3 days he has a number of engagements, as explained by the Minister of Justice, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs, Honorable Ziambi.
I think the visit is very key to us, as the Director General has indicated. We want to work closely with WIPO to unlock value in terms of intellectual property. As mentioned, the Chipinge coffee, the Shona sculpture, even the creative industry. How can this be supported and developed and patented so that their works are protected? So we are going to have several high-level engagements. It's going to meet the Minister of Higher and Tertiary Education, the Minister of Agriculture, the Minister of Sports and Culture, as well as the Minister of Small and Medium Enterprises, to see how we can harness the knowledge that is at our disposal from WIPO.
President Mnangagwa continues to call for young minds at the country's tertiary institutions to come up with innovations that have an impact on national development. Ensuring the innovations are patented and commercialized is vital, hence a comprehensive IP strategy is key for the nation. Josephine Mugio, ZBC News, State House.
From that report, we now move on to other news, and in the following report, Abigail Tembo reports on how Zimbabwe has placed the spotlight on smarter, humane correctional strategies as communities across Africa grapple with crime and nations with high cost of incarceration.
Here in Harare this Monday, Vice President General retired Dr. Constantino Chiwenga officially opened a landmark continental conference on parole and reintegration. An event, he says, marks a decisive shift toward a modern, humane and technologically driven correctional systems across Africa.
The 4-day conference has brought together heads of correctional services from more than 20 countries across the African continent. Government ministers who included the Minister of Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services, Dr. Jenfan Muswere, and the Minister of Justice, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs, Honorable Ziambi. Legal experts, rehabilitation specialists, and senior prison administrators, all meeting to shape what the Vice President described as the future of restorative justice.
This theme aligns well with Second Republic's national transformation agenda, which prioritizes human dignity, rehabilitation and reintegration as pillars of a modern and responsive correctional architecture. It also captures Africa's corrective ambition to advance systems that are data-driven and anchored in global best practices. In light of these foundational principles, the Republic of Zimbabwe stands at a critical turning point in its national correctional reform journey. We therefore remain steadfastly committed to the establishment of correctional institutions that are modern, humane, technologically driven, and development-oriented.
For decades, parole in Zimbabwe was restrictive and inaccessible. Under the new framework, decisions will be guided by evidence-based assessments, supervised reintroduction, and the need to reduce reoffending while strengthening public security. According to the Minister of Justice, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs, this gives Zimbabwe a chance to compare models, refine its frameworks, and contribute to Africa-wide discussions on non-custodial resources.
Let us deeply engage in the practicalities of reform. We must discuss how we can enhance the capacity and independence of our parole boards to conduct objective, evidence-based risk assessments, perhaps through harmonizing the training of our judicial and correctional personnel.
Commissioner General of the Zimbabwe Prisons and Correctional Service, Dr. Moses Chihovu, urged delegates to embrace frank dialogue and collective problem-solving throughout the conference.
The diverse expertise represented here provides a strong foundation for developing practical and sustainable strategies that will enhance rehabilitation and reintegration, which are the key pillars of an effective parole system.
As this conference gets underway, Vice President Chiwenga has challenged delegates to craft parole regulations that are practical, implementable, and suitable to Zimbabwe's realities. Abigail Tembo, ZBC News, Harare.
War veterans who are into livestock production are contributing to the growth of the national herd after benefiting from the Presidential War Veterans Empowerment Program.
With the national herd now at 5.7 million, war veterans in the livestock production sector are appreciative of the support they are getting from government, with the majority eyeing sustained growth in line with national development objectives.
The project ndikaona uyanga hamne ichikoro tusanga manda ngauri ndiyone ine yata rikone uchira richiisa vana vavo rine zvikoloni nauri one futi ndikaona uri karali arichikukona kuwana tikedzo ene angakona ubva ka muvuso ka this second republic ndivona uri hai ringakona ubveledza zvori rikuona zvori hai usvika 2030 rari kuumbula uri at least rive rinova kure
ro lavhelesela sweswo uri tshelede ine ra fhiwa nga vhopresident ri mphawe ma-war veterans anonga eneya uri vave na u bvelela va siyele vana vavo zwiṅwe zwithu.
Government has made it clear that it will continue supporting the livestock production sector.
Chibalo cha kholomo chacho notsanga magomelelo ngareka ushanduka hamucho so rather na maprogram manji heifa pass all scheme chipa vatu matole vachibhebhisa vachipana zichanda chirano chirano ritoda rina beri shandukise na kholomo yaone ngari kholomo kufuna wa business ikufuna wa bindu ikufuna wa nambuyelo so riko dichipana vapa zimbo uri beri chinche mini enough bloodline uri kholomo dzavo zikono zvavudi arazichiyange mshowani zivape mbuyelo yavudi.
The agricultural sector continues to grow, sustained by the Agriculture, Food Systems and Rural Transformation Strategy. Aifeli Mudau, ZBC News, Bridge.
Now, the ZANU-PF party is advising the following meetings. The Politburo will be held on Wednesday, the 3rd this month, a Central Committee meeting on Thursday, the 4th of December, and a National Consultative Assembly, which will be happening on Friday, which is the 5th of this month. Now, all the meetings start at 10 in the morning. The meetings will also be held at the ZANU-PF headquarters, and all members are expected to be seated by 9:45 a.m.
By Force annual training implementation workshop is currently underway in Harare, with deliberations focusing on standardizing training guidelines as well as ensuring activities align with the AU's training policies and directives.
In May 2003, the African Union Chiefs of Defense Staff adopted a document that established the African Standby Force and the Military Staff Committee. The body was tasked with providing peacekeeping forces that are well equipped to respond to calamities as requested by regional bodies, African Union and the United Nations. Over the years, the African Standby Forces have responded to conflicts in Somalia, South Sudan, Mozambique and DRC, among other countries.
Since 2003, we have basically tried to put all the structures that you guided us through the policy framework on the establishment of the SF and the Military Staff Committee. And one of the key pillars on operationalizing the Africa Standby Force has been training and exercising. Because we are saying the capabilities that we're getting are being obtained from countries that have different doctrine, different practices, but all contributing to a common cause, which is the ASF. Hence the need to standardize and harmonize our processes.
The African Standby Force is strongest when every regional standby force contributes to collective readiness through shared learning, integrated exercises, and harmonized doctrine.
The Minister of Defense, Honorable Opamuchinguri Kashiri, noted the shared commitment to addressing challenges that confront the continent.
Homegrown interventions in this regard remain key for sustainable peace support operations in Africa. To that end, there is need for us to understand the global local operating environment and its nexus to peace support operations. In the same vein, adoption of early warning systems is essential for timely intervention in potential conflict zones. We also need to enhance internal resource mobilization to minimize reliance on external support. It is critical during the proceedings to have a holistic approach and understanding of the obtaining defense and security environment in Africa. This will allow us to understand the root causes of conflict.
The 5-day training workshop is being held under the theme Enhancing Efficiency in Mandate Implementation, Reassessing Capacity and Needs Assessments. Olin Ndori, ZBC News, Harare.
Private consultants have made an in-depth analysis of the 2026 national budget to parliamentarians ahead of the budget debate, which will be happening next week, with the issue of additional taxes now dominating discussions. Now, our reporter Owen Mandova has been closely following developments, and he gives us the details in the following report.
The 2026 National Budget Statement, which was presented here at the new Parliament building in Mount Abden by the Minister of Finance, Professor Mthuli Ncube, came under huge scrutiny at the post-budget seminar, whereby Parliament has invited several consultants in order to analyze and dissect some of the key contents of the US $9.3 billion budget. The budget came up with several revenue proposals. Chief among them was the increase of VAT from the current 15% to 15.5%, as well as the introduction of a new cash withdrawal levy.
The increase in the VAT is going to affect the cash that they have in terms of buying food, in terms of ensuring that there's livelihoods in the households. And I did emphasize that this will have an impact. And remember, the taxes also, they do get money from the diaspora, which comes in through the banks, and that will be taxed.
The revenue measures which the government has proposed in order to at least increase revenue. Some of them are quite good. For instance, if we talk about IMTT, While IMTT was formerly just a tax which was just coming from people, the minister has now proposed that you will allow a deduction for income tax purposes.
The 2026 national budget is underpinned by the 10-pillar National Development Strategy 2 policy document, which will run from 2026 to 2030. But one of the key questions that has been asked by parliamentarians from across the political spectrum is that are the budget allocations to respective ministries adequate to drive the much-needed economic growth and development?
Ndiri kuona sekuti nemari dzaaloketwa naminista vedu vefinance kumasectors ese maministries ese ndinoona sekuti inokwanisa kuti tishande zvinoita kuti tiswedere pedo nokuachieve vision 2030.
We have got to be strong in terms of health, we have got to be strong in terms of education, and also we have got to be strong in terms of youth training and empowerment.
We have noticed that in many years, issues that were not been taken care of have been taken care of in this budget.
In her opening address, the President of the Senate, Madame Mabel Nomona, asked the parliamentarians that before the budget is passed into the Finance Act, they have to ask key questions on whether or not it meets the aspirations of the generality of Zimbabweans.
It is critical that you interrogate the expenditure framework through the lens of those most vulnerable and deserving of state protection, including the poor, the women, veterans of the liberation struggle, the elderly, youth, children, and persons living with disabilities. The ultimate objective is to determine whether public expenditure is efficient.
Professor Ncube noted in his budget speech that the economy is expected to grow at 6.6% this year, above the regional average of 4.4%. However, a budget deficit is also expected at around US $140 million by the end of the year. The revenue-enhancing mechanisms contained in the 2026 national budget are set to widen the tax base in order to cater for the expected deficit and also expenditures for next year. Owen Mandova, ZBC News, Mount Abden.
The Presidential Empowerment Fund has devolved to constituency levels with over 26 constituencies in the Manicaland province benefiting, receiving over $5,000 towards empowerment projects.
Hundreds of people in Manicaland province braced the reins to attend the official launch of the Presidential Constituency Empowerment Fund, which saw Manicaland province 26 constituencies receiving their share of over $500,000 United States dedicated to local community projects.
Ndafarira paunyaya kuti aitorwi nemunhu ichigarwa nayo zvachose asi inokweretwa kuti tikwanise kusasiyana mabasa edu.
Tafarira chirongwa chavana muna president vedu tiri kuzvitenda tiri kuzvikudza.
Magarden tinogona kutengesa zvirimwa zvatinenge tawana towana yatinoti mari yemukando, mari kutotengawo foster diet kuone utano.
Kana dzichinge dzauya kudai sombeu tine titofarawo kuti takuchinokwanisawo kuita pfumvudza nembeu vatipa mvura yabva yanayo takunorima zvakasununguka.
Presidential Investment Advisor Dr. Paul Tungwarara said the aim of the fund is to stimulate grassroots economic activity and enhance local livelihoods.
This fund belongs to His Excellency, and it is out of his kindness and firm dedication to your warfare that he wishes to share with you. This initiative aims to empower you at the constituency level, ensuring that development follows down to every village, ward, and ultimately to every family. President Vachiti, hakuna unosara, leaving no one behind.
The fund, which will empower local communities by providing access to capital and fostering self-reliance, is complementing other ongoing development projects in Manicaland province.
Young women for ED,
naizvozvo ndoda kuti mari iyoyi tiite zvinhu zviri transparent kumaprovince.
Mari iyi ndapota ngatiishandise zvinooneka zvinobatika, makiriniki, maschools asara hande tinopedzisa.
The event also saw communities receiving farming inputs as part of the ongoing empowerment schemes. John Nandara, ZBC News, Buera.
Well, now do remember, you can revisit all those stories and a lot more on our website. That's at www.zbcnews.co.zw. And you can also share with us your feedback on our social media platforms, that is through our X handle, Facebook page, as well as a YouTube channel, or under the handle ZBC News Online.
And still ahead on the main news, Zimbabwe designer Jasper Mandizera lifts the flag high at fashion show in China.
When you take a look at our sports news, the Warriors regroup for the AFCON finals, which are set for Morocco later on this month. Well, the main news takes a short break. Stay with us.
Zimbabwe inhaka yedu. Zimbabwe is our heritage. This festive season is the right time to travel.
Local is local.
Zimbabwe 2025, #1 destination in the world, according to Forbes magazine. This festive season, travel local and experience our heritage. Zimbabwe, inhaka yedu, ilifa letu. Experience Zimbabwe. Zimbo.
Heritage-based curriculum.
Ozanlonge uyai ziva kwakabva, ziva kwauri kuenda, kuenda umbangu, kudzoka umbangu.
Embracing the heritage-based curriculum framework 2024 to 2030 to produce citizenry with relevant pragmatic schemes, applied knowledge, values and dispositions for national development through STEM. Science, technology, engineering and mathematics.
Our education, our innovation, our industrialization, our national development.
Public Notice 2025 Parole and Reintegration Conference. The Minister of Justice, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs, Honorable Ziyambi Ziyambi, and Zimbabwe Prisons and Correctional Service Commissioner, General Dr. Moses Siriaungawaite Chiobvu, proudly announces the Zimbabwe Regional Parole Conference 2025, a landmark national forum dedicated to strengthening the future of rehabilitation and community reintegration in Zimbabwe. Parole remains a key pillar in promoting community safety, supporting effective rehabilitation, and giving deserving offenders a structured second chance. As Zimbabwe continues modernizing its correctional system, collaboration and shared expertise have never been more essential. The conference is slated for 1 to 4 December 2025 at Rainbow Hotel, Jacaranda Rooms in Harare. This important conference will bring together local and international experts, policymakers, practitioners, and community stakeholders to explore innovations, challenges, and best practices in parole management and reintegration. Attendees can look forward to impactful presentations, strategic discussions, and forward-thinking ideas that will contribute to safer communities. Join the experience live. The entire event will be live streamed on the official ZPCS Facebook page, Zim Papers Television Network, ZTN, and all Zim Papers Facebook platforms. Don't miss this unique opportunity to understand how parole works, why it matters, and its vital role in building a safer and more rehabilitative society. Follow the ZPCS Facebook page to stay updated, receive the live stream link, and stay connected to real-time insights from this national event. ZPCS for incarceration, rehabilitation, and reintegration of offenders into the society.
Welcome back. You're still watching the main news. Now, the government has assured the nation of enough stocks of antiretroviral therapy drugs amid commitment to maintain high stock levels. This was the key takeaway from commemorations to mark World AIDS Day at Umzingwane High School in Matabeleland South Province, and this happened today. Our Matabeleland South Bureau Chief, Providence Maranelli, reports.
As the nation moves to implement the National Development Strategy 2, there is consensus among thousands that gathered for the World AIDS Day commemorations at Umzingwane High School in Matabeleland South Province this Monday that the prioritization of health infrastructure and drugs will go a long way in preserving the gains made in the fight to end AIDS by 2030. For Thokozani Nkala of Umzingwane, who was born with HIV in 2000, her journey has become a telling story of Zimbabwe's journey to end stigma and discrimination as the nation surges towards an AIDS-free population.
22 years of my journey living with HIV, it's been a journey of resilience, not limitation, from learning to take my meds to advocating for awareness. I have discovered strength in vulnerability. HIV is part of me, but it doesn't define me.
ngayilandela ngendlela engangitshelwa ngayo yikho kulamhlanje ngile 59 years ngiphila ilast born yami ngaba layo nginjalo kodwa yaphuma negative.
As Zimbabwe celebrates the strides made in the fight against HIV and AIDS, credit is being given to the resilience of its people and strategies adopted by government.
As Zimbabwe, we want to congratulate ourselves. Our government was forward-thinking with the establishment of the National AIDS Trust Fund, commonly known as the AIDS Levy, which is almost in its 2 decades now. But this time, it has really come in a big way to making sure that we don't run out of ARVs, we don't run out of laboratory diagnostics, and any other HIV-related activity.
I must profoundly acknowledge the foresight of the government of the Republic of Zimbabwe for institutionalizing the AIDS Fund, recalibrating the commonly known AIDS levy. This fund has been instrumental in plugging gaps created by these shifts in the funding architecture, serving as a model for other countries like the United Republic of Tanzania, which is establishing a similar mechanism.
Data shows that Matabeleland South Province has both the HIV incidence and highest HIV prevalence in the country, something that continues to worry us. We therefore hope that this national honor to host the World AIDS Day will attract more attention on how we can address this challenge.
Government has assured the nation that it will prioritize the well-being of its citizenry through various strategies to harness critical drugs.
As we implement the National Development Strategy 2, which was officially launched by His Excellency, Comrade Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa, government will continue strengthening our health infrastructure,
capacitating our health workers, and expanding innovative domestic financing to complement National AIDS Trust Fund. We remain committed to community leadership because communities are not just beneficiaries, they are the backbone of our progress.
Running under the theme Overcoming Disruptions, Transforming the AIDS Response, the World AIDS Day commemorations were preceded by a candlelight memorial in honor of the victims of HIV and AIDS and a marathon. Providence Maranelli, ZBC News, Umzingwane.
We now cross over to Montrose in Bulawayo, where Arthur Evans is on standby. Good evening, Arthur. Good to see you.
Thank you so much, Mona Lisa. A very pertinent message in the previous story. Speaking of messages, women are standing up and saying out loud that they can be counted as equals as female representation in the army continues to rise as women outnumber their male counterparts at a pass-out parade at Mbizo Barracks in Bulawayo this Monday.
The spotlight at the pass-out parade of the Zimbabwe National Army held at Imbizo Barracks in Bulawayo this Monday was on the girl child, as over 120 recruits who graduated out of a total of 184 were female. Courageously displaying their zeal, the female soldiers are more than ready to save their country.
Ndothembisa kuti ndichabhatazwana vanhu, equal rights, ndichaseva Zimbabwe.
Vele ngangivele ngifuna ukuba lisotsha into yokuqala eyangichazayo then lokudefenda ilizwe lami. Abana wamsizana uje nesisole abantu abana babasizana bako offer udojona chisole ngauri bakuhumbula uri chisole chiyababa.
Seeing the girl child being absorbed in male-dominated spaces is testament to the country's commitment to promoting gender equality.
Kuona mwana wangu achisapotawo Zimbabwe National Army zvino zvandifadza zvandipa manyukunyuku.
Mbatifadza chaizvo kuti nyika yeZimbabwe yakurudzira vanhu kadzi kuti vaite mabasa avairambidzwa nesu zvidhara.
Ndiri kufara kuti mwana wangu apinda mutsoka dzangu. I'm very happy and I'm very proud of her.
Shows dedication, and I think it's very, very important for a child, especially a girl child.
Zimbabwe National Army Chief of Staff, Quartermaster Staff, Major General Simo Masego noted the dominance of female trainees is clear testimony that the Army is prioritizing gender equality.
You are aware that Zimbabwe is a signatory of international conventions that call for gender equality in all spheres of life. In this regard, the Zimbabwe National Army will continue to recruit and train the girl child as they have proven to be dedicated, competent, and determined to serve the nation. It is pleasing to note that during training, the female trainees were equal to their male counterparts, be it on physical training and others, an indication that women are breaking the barriers that were previously male-dominated.
Female recruits also dominated the top 3 performing students chart list. Lisa Correa, ZBC News, Bulawayo.
Women are still continuing to fight, not on the battlefield, but in a different way, as the National Arts Council is grooming an empowered group of girls and women to consolidate the gains made in the fight against HIV and AIDS in Bulilima.
As the year draws to an end, the border town of Plumtree swells with travelers, fathers returning to warm welcome, mothers carrying their children on their backs, and children clutching their travel bags. But behind that veil of homecoming laughter and joy lies a different kind of pressure on health workers at the community clinics and mobile outreach teams. Their worry is on the rise in demand for medicines and drugs, especially for sexually transmitted diseases that stem from these reunions.
So tozama kuti titame ma preparations kuti apa bebuya at least bewane ava be equipped.
As a stopgap measure, the National AIDS Council has enrolled community mentors who coordinate sister-to-sister programs to empower the girl child and young women.
Gonorrhea iyingozi ungayekelela ingawutholisela endaweni ezinjani ma ungayekelela igonorrhea uzibona usulayo ungayivikeli ungazithola usunjani.
Now empowered, the young girls of Ngwana area in Bulilima are taking it upon themselves to fight against new HIV infections in their area.
Ndoba ndisingazive kuti igweno nobe ethamana nje. So ndoba ndihaka kuti imindi gale ndi right. Apandi ndinda kuchibhedlela. Ndiwane ku right.
Uthi siqeda kumemetheka kwegcikwane. Okokuqala mbona ni i-abstinence.
Sesifunda ukuthi nxa ukuthi ule jaha lakho liseGoli kumbe Botswana kumbe kwenye indawo ungahlali lalo. Nxa ukwazi ukuthi seliyabuya so kumele uvele ugijimele esibhedlela.
Bulilima's HIV prevalence rate is above 17%, the highest in Matabeleland South Province, while in Mangwe HIV prevalence is 16.8%, and incidence among people aged 15 to 49 stands at 0.27%, again the highest in the province. Providence Maranelli, ZBC News, Bulilima.
Following the compass point in a southerly direction, the 21st Regional Universities Forum for Agricultural Development annual general meeting has been officially opened in Gaborone, Botswana, focusing on positioning African universities for continental development.
It's a very good afternoon to you. We are here in Gaborone, Botswana, where the Regional Universities Forum annual general meeting has just been officially opened. The theme for this year is positioning African universities and the higher education sector towards effectively impacting development processes in Africa. Over 600 delegates are here who include researchers, students, vice chancellors and development partners. We also have other universities from Zimbabwe, such as the University of Zimbabwe, Midland State University, Bindura State University, Lupane University, just to mention a few. And earlier on, we managed to speak to University of Zimbabwe Executive Director for Industrialization and Innovation, Professor Florence Mtamanengwe.
This year we are here in Botswana. This is a very important agricultural initiative where we capacitate future leaders in agriculture. We want to tap in emerging innovations, and it's critically important now that we have AI coming in, but at the same time climate change is really impacting on the agricultural sector. So we want to see what else is coming out.
For Zimbabwe, this is a continuation of a strong commitment. It is worth remembering that in 2023, Zimbabwe hosted this very forum, officially opened by His Excellency President Emmerson Mnangagwa in Harare. And today, universities in Zimbabwe are here, leveraging on that legacy to continue promoting the country's national agenda, which speaks to industrialization and innovation. Nyasha Makota, ZBC News, Gaborone, Botswana.
Government has warned against mining activities where risk assessment reports indicate danger during the rainy season. Now, this was said by the Minister of Mines and Mining Development, Honorable Winston Chitando, during a media briefing in Harare this Monday. Minister Chitando revealed that compliance with safe mining standards is of paramount importance in facilitating sustainable mining operations as well as saving lives.
The Ministry of Mines and Mining Development would like to advise all miners, large, medium and small scale, across the country that the onset of the rainy season brings with it grave dangers and risks that are a threat to lives and potential loss of equipment and damage to mines. During the rainy season, we experience heightened risks in the form of flooding, drowning, weakened ground leading to fall and ground subsidence, as well as limestone breaches. The Ministry would like to implore all the miners to be cognizant of these dangers and risks and accordingly take adequate precautions to mine safely and preserve lives. The Ministry therefore advises our miners as follows. A. Avoid working or mining along waterways, as there is potential of shafts flooding from rain upstream, posing risks. B, avoid digging and blasting in old mine workings, as the ground may become unstable and bound to collapse. This advice is not just during the rainy season, but throughout the whole year.
Speaking of rain, we're going to keep the stories raining in. My name is Arthur C. Evans for the Montrose News Desk. We take you to Pockets Hill for more news.
Thank you, Arthur. We now look at persistent neglect of critical infrastructure in Harare's central business district, which continues to raise concern, with flash flooding now posing significant threats to business and public health. Our reporter Wellington Makonese walked through the CBD to trace the root of the problem.
Chinoy Street, linking with Lighton Road, the situation has been compounded by this raw effluent that you can witness flowing downstream straight into this drain. Looking closely at this drain, there is plenty of waste that has caused a blockade. And where is it coming from? Up top, where vendors who ply in this area have made it a habit to dump their rubbish there, and it has become a culture, worsening the situation. There is also plenty of rubble that is coming from these concrete slabs, which are supposed to be manning this particular drain. This is one day that there are no rains, but just one downpour, floodgates open. Experts have flagged a number of issues that include unorthodox means of repairing roads, and as well as the partitioning of buildings, which is contrary to the expectations in terms of the urban planning legislation.
Nearly every business has adopted the partitioning of existing infrastructure to create more tenants, more occupants of their buildings. And by extension, we are witnessing an increased number of people coming to the central business district. So what we are seeing is a situation where the breakdown in the enforcement of provisions of the Regional Town and Country Planning Act in terms of partitioning of buildings, in terms of the numbers of people on the streets who are dwelling there, they take the central business district as their home. So when they are doing that, they are bringing their shacks, and during the day they shove these things into the drainage system. In the evenings, they are pulling them out. But when there are heavy rains, the same, the cardboard boxes, the plastic, and everything, you name it, is washed down the drainage system.
Efforts to get a comment from the city fathers were futile as they remained unavailable. Year in, year out, rains have become a nightmare for Harare, and that dream of this city becoming world-class by 2025 has since faded. The question on pedestrians and motorists alike is that what is next for the city fathers who are bent on promises? Wellington Makonese, ZBC News, Harare.
An informative and eye-opening report right there from Wellington Makonese. We look at other news where Zimbabwe is prioritizing reforestation to restore ecosystems and enhance biodiversity through support from other African countries.
African ambassadors from Ethiopia, Rwanda and Algeria this Tuesday met with the Minister of Environment, Climate and Wildlife, Dr. Evelyn Ndlovu, to discuss the diplomatic Green Legacy Initiative ahead of the National Tree Planting Day that is set for Saturday.
As an African group of ambassadors, we should align with the government of Zimbabwe, with His Excellency President's vision of greening this country and make a humble contribution. So we came to Honorable Minister, we met in March this year, and we agreed to start in May, and we started with 1,000 trees this year, which we planted.
Dr. Ndlovu highlighted the concept of the green legacy that is being adopted by African nations, with partnerships also coming on board to strengthen environmental action.
This is one of the efforts that we are making to adapt to climate change. We are planting trees so that we can mitigate the deforestation which is happening in the country, in our countries, respective countries. And we also agreed that we should come up with alternative sources of energy that will replace the wood, the firewood that we have been using.
The Diplomatic Legacy Initiative is a collective environmental sustainability effort led by African ambassadors accredited to Zimbabwe, with the aim to foster cultural environmental protection among Zimbabweans. Memory Chamisa, ZBC News, Harare.
We now take a quick break. Thereafter, we'll look at arts and entertainment news. Stay with us.
This is a message for all motorists and pedestrians, brought to you by the Traffic Safety Council of Zimbabwe. Motorists are urged to exercise extreme caution when approaching an intersection. Slow down, stop, give way, always give precedence to traffic approaching from the right for proceeding, unless the intersection is controlled by police, stop sign or traffic lights. Failure to comply to road sign procedures may result in getting arrested or loss of life. Be on the lookout for pedestrians, cyclists and motorcyclists. Speeding, drunk driving, fatigue and chatting on the phone whilst driving are the major causes of accidents at intersections. Therefore, take heed when approaching intersections, because the life you save might just be your very own. Think safety first before driving. Choose life. The Traffic Safety Council of Zimbabwe, thriving to keep our roads safe and lives fulfilled.
Festive is here, Shah. First Street lights up, and suddenly the vibe is back. It stretches from Harare to Hollywood, even to Old Trafford. Jesse Festive. All I want this festive season? The stories that keep us hooked. The ngoma, the rhythm, the laughter, the drama, the goals, the world-class entertainment that brightens up the holidays for the whole family. All I want is DSTV.
Thank you for staying with us. You're watching the main news on ZBC. I am Mona Lisa Dube. We now look at arts and entertainment news, where Zimbabwe has recorded a major milestone on the global cultural scene after the appointment of renowned curator Raphael Chikukwa to a global committee for musicians and collections.
National Gallery of Zimbabwe Executive Director Mr. Raphael Chikukwa's appointment to the board of the International Committee for Museums and Collections of Modern Art, CIMAM, for the 2026 to 2028 term places him among the world's leading museum professionals, giving Zimbabwe a stronger voice in one of the most influential cultural networks. This was announced at the 57th CIMAM Annual Conference in Italy this Sunday, marking a significant breakthrough not only for Zimbabwe, but for the African museum sector as a whole.
My appointment to the CIMAM board means a lot to the ideas of His Excellency about image building, engagement and re-engagement agenda, but not only that, but it's also very, very important to the continent of Africa. It allows us to plan well as Zimbabwe, which is the host of CIMAM Annual Conference in 2026. But as you all know, CIMAM is like the Davos of museum professionals, which allows museum professionals to gather annually, each year, to different countries, and this time is coming to Africa for the first time, which is very, very important.
For decades, he has been central to shaping contemporary art in Zimbabwe, curating exhibitions, building collections, mentoring artists, and promoting Zimbabwean talent on international platforms. The new board includes museum leaders from Asia, Europe, the Middle East, and the Americas, But Chikuka's presence as the only African brings crucial continental representation in a field long dominated by Western institutions. In another proud moment for the country, Zimbabwe will host the CIMAM annual conference in Harare, November next year, further cementing its place on the global cultural map. Patience Nyangatu, CBC News, Harare.
Elsewhere, the education sector continues to elevate visual and performing arts as a cornerstone of the heritage-based learning, with this year's annual Music and Drama Festival at a local institution in Harare, showcasing how creative expression is shaping learners while preserving Zimbabwe's cultural identity.
From traditional rhythms to contemporary storytelling, performances throughout the festival captured the richness of diverse culture celebrating values, history and artistic innovation.
Are you suggesting I'm for sale? Of course!
Beyond entertainment, the festival served as a learning platform, helping pupils develop essential skills such as creativity, confidence, teamwork and cultural appreciation beyond theory. Festival coordinator and education minister Ms. Rombidzaita Tai emphasized the critical role of the creative arts in supporting heritage-based education and empowering learners.
The visual and performing arts subjects have to be taken to another level. This is what we are doing to make sure that children are skilled in every way. Will it be music, will it be arts, will it be dancing, everything that infuse in the visual and performing arts.
Meanwhile, government support for creative education continues to grow, with increased investment in teacher training under the heritage-based education model in visual and performing arts to meet the demands of the competence-based curriculum.
Grade 7 pass rate iri kudonera ku GPA area because ndokunenge kune ma units akati kwire. Why? Isusu as teachers tutotadza.
This project is capacitating the facilitators, the teachers in the rural areas, in urban areas, and it is also complementing the Education 5.0 model.
Stakeholders at the event expressed confidence that the continued integration of visual arts in education will expand creative potential.
From different angles, kumaruzeva, kumadhorobha vese tovabika mugangori mwechete kuti vange vari vanhu vanoziva chivanhu chavo nechishona kusanganisira ma-instruments chaiwo.
Visual arts now cemented in the education curriculum are expected to strengthen national pride and propel the growth of future cultural and creative industries beyond theory.
Sport news is coming up after this quick break. Stay with us.
Public Notice 2025 Parole and Reintegration Conference. The Minister of Justice, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs, Honorable Ziyambi Ziyambi, and Zimbabwe Prisons and Correctional Service Commissioner, General Dr. Moses Sirio Ngawete Chiobvu, proudly announces the Zimbabwe Regional Parole Conference 2025, a landmark national forum dedicated to strengthening the future of rehabilitation and community reintegration in Zimbabwe. Parole remains a key pillar in promoting community safety, supporting effective rehabilitation, and giving deserving offenders a structured second chance. As Zimbabwe continues modernizing its correctional system, collaboration and shared expertise have never been more essential. The conference is slated for 1 to 4 December 2025 at Rainbow Hotel, Jacaranda Rooms in Harare. This important conference will bring together local and international experts, policymakers, practitioners, and community stakeholders to explore innovations, challenges, and best practices in parole management and reintegration. Attendees can look forward to impactful presentations, strategic discussions, and forward-thinking ideas that will contribute to safer communities. Join the experience live. The entire event will be live streamed on the official ZPCS Facebook page, Zim Papers Television Network, ZTN, and all Zim Papers Facebook platforms. Don't miss this unique opportunity to understand how parole works, why it matters, and its vital role in building a safer and more rehabilitative society. Follow the ZPCS Facebook page to stay updated, receive the live stream link, and stay connected to real-time insights from this national event. ZPCS, for incarceration, rehabilitation, and reintegration of offenders into the society.
This is AFCON, my friend. Everything is the competition. Everything.
So here they come for the opening game, and away we are here at the Africa Cup of Nations.
Join our family meeting from the 21st of December to the 18th of January. Purchase a decoder for $30. AFCON 2025, live on SuperSport.
Welcome back. We now take a look at sport news. The Zimbabwe senior men national football team, the Warriors, have started preparing for the Africa Cup of Nations finals, which is set for Morocco this month, with a contingent of locally based players going into camp today.
Players based in Zimbabwe have been presented with an opportunity to prove their mettle and make the final Warrior squad set to compete at the Africa Cup of Nations in Morocco later this month. The Zimbabwe Football Association issued a statement confirming that locally based players will have an opportunity to prove their individual brilliance to the technical team led by head coach Mario Marnica, with the rigorous selection process set to follow. FIFA added that the training environment will be controlled to allow the technical team to make their selection without undue influence. Foreign-based players are expected in camp at different intervals as dictated by their club commitments. The Warriors will be taking part in their 6th AFCON tournament are set for an early departure to Morocco, with the team send-off set for the 8th of this month. The Warriors are building up on their last 2 friendly matches against Algeria and Qatar. Mthokozi Stube, ZBC News, Bulawayo.
And also the senior women national football team, the Mighty Warriors, have their own going on because they're hoping to conclude the three-nation tournament on a high note as they face off with Zambia at Bingu National Stadium in Lilongwe this Tuesday.
After a deserved 2-1 victory over host Malawi at the weekend, the Mighty Warriors are eager to build on this momentum to secure another win in their last match at the tournament. Boasting of a mix of fresh talent and seasoned players from the local league, the Mighty Warriors have shown impressive hunger and energy after almost a year of inactivity. Zambia will, however, provide a tough challenge, having won 7 of the 11 previous encounters against Zimbabwe. The team with the highest number of points after 3 games will claim the winning trophy. The Three Nations tournament has given the Mighty Warriors game time as they head into the new year, which promises to be packed. Meanwhile, Malawi and Zambia are using the tournament to prepare for the 2026 Women's Africa Cup of Nations. Anna Shemurombedzi, ZBC News, Harare.
The Delta area of the Hwange district was set alight at the weekend as 20 teams took part in the inaugural Jacob Mudenda soccer tournament, which is part of grassroots talent identification.
It was a game of football with a difference. Beyond the grassroots talent identification, there was a strong message against drug and substance abuse while also promoting conservation. The locals who came from different wards are in full support of the initiative, a brainchild of the Speaker of Parliament, Advocate Jacob Mudenda, who is also the ruling ZANU-PF Party Secretary General.
We would like to thank you, Baba JF Mudenda, for hosting such a wonderful event. You can see that sports brings people together.
It's been a great tournament. The numbers can tell the number of people that have come here, and we're speaking development. And this is where I would appreciate if some national coaches and also club coaches can come and see the raw talent.
Dubbed the Rhino Cup, the tournament was not about victory on the football pitch, but inculcating values among young people in Dete.
It's a start. We are going to evaluate after this tournament to see to it that where we are going to do it next year. As PDC, we have always been in the area doing sports. We believe sports gets people together, it gets them away from issues like poaching, which worries us most.
With government's thrust to widen and support grassroots talent identification through different programs, young people are getting exposure, which takes them to elite sports competitions. Mhlomuli Ncube, ZBC News, Hwange.
Well, that sports story from Mhlomuli puts a cap on today's edition of The Main News. Have a good night.
Good night.
They say all good things must come to an end. And for Bayern Munich, this applies to their record-breaking start to the season. Bayern had gone undefeated in every game prior to their Champions League trip to Arsenal, opening the campaign with 16 consecutive wins. Their unbeaten run stretched to 18 games before lowering their colours for the first time. A rare off night for the Bundesliga champions. Halfway through the first phase of the Champions